Hi, my name's Lucy. I'm a baby and children's reflexology instructor, and I just want to show you some really good points to use when your baby is teething. So we are always going to make sure that we're ever so gentle on baby's feet, baby and children's feet. We don't need to use any kind of deep pressure at all. So the first point that we're going to find is the solar plexus point. So this point is really good for calming and reassurance and just calming down the central nervous system. So the solar plexus point is here, just underneath the ball of the foot. So if you were to run your thumb or your forefinger over the ball of the foot, it would end up here in this nice little dip just under the ball of the foot. So you can just have a little hold, maybe have a few breaths yourself, deep breaths yourself. Make sure you're not holding any tension. And then you can have a little circle around in that area. If you try and take some nice deep breaths, then hopefully baby will follow your cue as well. And then same thing on the other foot. Find that point and have a little circle around in there. So the solar plexus point is located just underneath your ribs, sort of in this, underneath your ribs in the center. And it's a huge network of nerves, and it's that point where you feel as if you've been punched when you have some bad news or a shock. So this is very reassuring, very calming, really good to start with. So we're going to have a little focus on the toes. So on that same foot, we are going to slide up the big toe and then slide down the front of the toe. And then have a little circle around the tip of the toe. So this is the brain area, brain in the head. And then same thing, up, sliding up the back of the toe and down the front. And a little circle around the tip of the toe. And then again up and a slide down and a little circle around. And up and sliding down and a little circle around the tip of that toe. And then the same thing up the little toe, sliding up and down, and a little circle around the tip of that toe. And then between your thumb and your forefinger, we're going to have a little roll and squeeze of each toe. So the teeth are reflected up the sides of the toe, so great to have a little roll and a little squeeze. The squeeze helps to stimulate the sinus point, which is in the fleshy pad of the toe here. So have a little roll, starting with the big toe, a little roll and a squeeze. And then again to the next toe, a little roll and a squeeze. Over to the next toe, a roll and a squeeze. Carry on until you get to that little toe, little roll and a little squeeze. Teeth are also reflected here on the front of the toe. I'll just show you with this foot. So here on the big toe, sorry, difficult to show you. Right, I've got it. So here on the big toe, just underneath the nail bed, you can have a little circle around. the points for the temporomandibular joint, which is here. So in there, it can get really, really tight and really, really sore if your baby's really chomping down, really clamping down when they're chewing on, you know, chew toys and stuff, or their hands, because they're trying to relieve that pressure themselves. So that joint can get really, really tight, that muscle in the joint can get tight. So the temporomandibular joint points are either side of the big toe. So with your thumb and your forefinger, just either side of the toe, you can just have a gentle press in and a little hold, and maybe, you know, a little circle around. I'll try on my doll to show you. So either side, and a little circle around with your fingers in there. And then with your thumb or your forefinger, you can make a slide with this hand from the heel all the way up to the big toe. So this is working on the spine reflexes. So again, really, really nice and calming for a bit of a frazzled central nervous system. Heel all the way up to the big toe. Just remember, just check in with your pressure, make sure it's nice and light. And then onto the front of the foot. Again, I'm going to show you with my little foot. Onto the front of the foot, we're just going to work on the lymphatic system. So with your thumbs or your forefingers, you're going to make some sort of train tracks. One thumb after the other. Working up towards the ankle. And this is just good for lymphatic drainage. So the body's own waste disposal unit. And then you can make some little circles all around the ankle. And then we can do the same on the other foot. So, swapping over to your other baby's foot. It was this foot. So we went up and down, each toe with a little circle around the tip. And again, up and down, and a circle around the tip. And then slide up and down with that circle around the tip. Little circle around, and then finally the little toe, a slide up and down, and a little circle around the tip. And then we took each toe between our thumb and our forefinger for a little roll, and then squeezing that sinus point. Roll between your thumb and forefinger and a little squeeze. A little roll and a squeeze. And then finally the little toe, little roll and a little squeeze. And then we found the points for the teeth on the big toe. Just underneath the nail bed, you can have a little circle around. And then that temporomandibular joint, just either side of the big toe with your thumb and your forefinger. This one. We can just have a little hold and then a little circle around. And then for the spinal reflexes, thumb or your forefinger, sliding from the heel up to the big toe. And then onto the front of the foot for your train tracks. So you can have your thumbs, one thumb after the other, working up towards the ankle. And then some little circles all around the ankle. To finish. Take your baby's feet, both your baby's feet, and give them lots of kisses.